The Golden State Warriors have been trying to hide this from us. As you all know, the NBA season is almost here, but it does not seem that the Warriors are done making some preseason moves. In today's video, we're going to be going through 5 under-the-radar secret moves that the Golden State Warriors have been making before the season starts to help them win another NBA championship. So make sure to like this video, and guys, 92% of you are still not subscribed to the channel, so it'd mean the world if you could subscribe to the channel, hitting that red button down below. The first is the Golden State Warriors signing Javonte Green. Now, as you all know, Javonte Green has actually gone under the radar of getting a 4-year deal with the Golden State Warriors, and this is honestly going to be huge for what the Warriors are trying to build. Now, Javonte Green, although he isn't really a well-renowned superstar, he is 6'4", 205 pounds, and is 30 years old. Now, his most recent season, he did play with the Chicago Bulls, where he averaged 5.2 points, also 0.7 assists, and 2.8 rebounds. Now, you also do have to remember he was doing this on only around 15 minutes per game, but I think he did a fantastic job with his time in Chicago, and I think he can definitely do a great job joining the Golden State Warriors. Now, when it comes to this deal, what I do love about Javonte Green's game is definitely due to the fact that he does have a really good three-point shot. His three-point percentage last season was 37%, which is fantastic, and an effective field goal percentage of 63%. So there aren't a lot of players that can really score from inside, outside very effectively, and we definitely see that from someone like Javonte Green. I think he's definitely going to be a good replacement for losing a couple of other players last season during the offseason, such as, Dante DiVincenzo, just to name a few. Now, Javonte Green, although he is, 6'4", he does play that guard position. He is at the position where he can play small forward at times due to his size and strength, especially when it comes to, guarding bigger guys on the floor. They are looking to run a lot of small ball, and I think this is where Javonte Green will definitely play very well. He's 30 years old, which I think is great due to the fact that he has enough youth behind him, but also on top of that, guys, he also has great experience in the league, and for playing for that many seasons of 4 years in the NBA, that's definitely enough to know how to play and how to win as well. He's played with some great teams in the past, but when it comes to his game, his offensive game is definitely second to none, and this is something that the Warriors definitely need. We all know the Warriors love 3-and-D players, and I see Javonte Green as one of those players. He can definitely get it done on the floor when it comes to offense and defense, and I think that's what makes him so special and why the Warriors ended up signing a great player like him. The second is the Golden State Warriors are in close talks with the Indiana Pacers to make a trade for Miles Turner. Now, this has been going on for so long. Even last offseason, I've been talking about Miles Turner being a perfect fit for the Golden State Warriors, but ESPN recently released that there is actually some brewing talks happening between the two in order for a Miles Turner trade, whether it's early on in the season or even just before the season starts. But it does seem that the Warriors do have Miles Turner on their target as one of a great players to definitely get, and I think Miles Turner would honestly be perfect for what the Warriors are trying to build, which is why I love talking about Miles Turner and having him on this team. He stands at 6'11", 250 pounds, and is 27 years old. So just off that alone, guys, he would be a very tall player for the Warriors. I know the Warriors love to run small ball, but guys, sometimes you need a bit of height, and we saw that last year when they did face off against the Los Angeles Lakers, where they really did struggle against players such as Anthony Davis, and this is where I think it becomes super important to get a tall guy that can really guard Anthony Davis well. Now, Miles Turner, on top of that, is 27 years old. He's still a very, very young player. 250 pounds definitely is a very strong player at that, and he's also a 2-time block champ in 2015 and 2016 All-Rookie member. Now, when it comes to Miles Turner's game, we definitely see that when he played with Indiana last season, he averaged 18 points, 7.5 rebounds, and 1.4 assists. But the greatest thing about his stats is definitely his three-point percentage, where he averaged 38% on 4 threes per game, and also had an effective field goal percentage of 61%. There aren't a lot of big men in this league that can definitely put up those numbers, not only just from the three-point area, but also in the two-point area, and have that high of an effective field goal percentage, and that's what I love about Turner's game. Now, in order to get someone like Miles Turner, definitely the Golden State Warriors would have to give up quite a few, as Miles Turner is definitely a big player for the Indiana Pacers. Now, Kevon Looney may be in that discussion, also Jonathan Kuminga, so we would have to give up a lot, so it is interesting to see how they are going to come up with a great deal to be able to keep, a main core and also keep their stars while also trading for Miles Turner, which I think is going to be interesting to see. But when it comes to Turner's game, I think it is a perfect perfect fit for what the Warriors are trying to build, especially with Chris Paul in that roster. The third is that Klay Thompson still hasn't heard anything when it comes to contract extensions with the Golden State Warriors. Now, this is something that came to a big surprise, but as you all know, Klay Thompson has made it known that he is willing to take a pay cut in order to stay with the Golden State Warriors, but Warriors haven't actually reached out to Klay Thompson in talks of an extension. In a recent interview, Klay Thompson actually made it clear that he has had zero communication about his contract extension and that he feels something is going up. Now, when it comes to this, I think it is a bit shocking, as we all do want Klay Thompson back in a Warriors uniform. 6'6", 215 pounds, and Klay Thompson still is 33 years of age. And when it comes to his game, I think he can still play at such a high level, especially him even at that age of 33. He's a shooter just like Steph, and I think he can definitely stay in the league for a long time due to the fact that his game isn't built off athleticism. And saying that as well, when it comes to everything that is going on, I think Klay Thompson definitely does deserve a contract extension, even though he is getting older and his injuries, have definitely taken a step when it comes to his career. But last season, he still averaged 21.9 points, 4.1 rebounds, and 2.4 assists, while also shooting 41% from the three with 10.6 three-point attempts per game and an effective field goal percentage of 56%. So the numbers speak for itself, but Klay Thompson is still definitely a great player, and I think a contract extension should definitely be done. But when it comes to whether the Warriors think the same, we don't really know. As of right now, it does seem that the Warriors may actually look to ship off Klay Thompson, maybe at the trade deadline, or not just offer him a contract extension so they can sign a big star at the end of next offseason. So this is going to be interesting to see how this all plays out personally, and I think all you guys as Warriors fans do want to see Klay Thompson back in a Warriors uniform and get that contract extension. But Klay Thompson has made it known that the Warriors haven't reached out not one bit, and usually this is the time to reach out about those extensions. So we will have to see how this all plays out, not just right now, but also throughout the rest of the season before the deadline. The fourth is that Moses Moody is going to be given a bigger role for this Warriors team. Now, as you all know, Moses Moody is a great player, and he did get quite a few great minutes last season, but now it does seem that he is going to be making his way up to around 20-25 minutes per game as Dante DiVincenzo has left the team. Now, when it comes to Moses Moody, he does play that shooting guard position very well. Last season, he averaged 4.8 points, 1.7 rebounds, and 0.8 assists, but you also do have to remember that he was only averaging around 13 minutes per game. But we could see that definitely change into this next season. He has a great three-point percentage of 36% and an effective field goal percentage of 58%, which is really good, especially for a shooting guard. He stands at 6'6", 205 pounds, and is also 21 years old. So Moses Moody is still a very young guy, but now is a time for him to definitely step up and to provide a lot for this Warriors team. I think he can definitely do a great job. He is a 3-and-D guy, which we have talked about before, the Warriors love. But on top of that, with him playing alongside someone like Chris Paul, Steph Curry, and all these other great players, he definitely has the capability to become an all-out star. Now, when it comes to Moses Moody, he is going to have to take some of that scoring load due to the fact that Jordan Poole is now gone. Yes, we did get Chris Paul, but you do have to remember, Chris Paul isn't a same type of scorer that Jordan Poole was. Jordan Poole was definitely that X-factor scorer coming off the bench, and with Chris Paul potentially being in that starting lineup, it's definitely up to Moses Moody to provide that scoring when needed. And yes, they do have other players like Kuminga who can definitely score, Dario Saric, but I do believe in that guard position, Moses Moody is going to have to make it his responsibility to be able to provide 10-15 points per game on a consistent night. And that is definitely what the Warriors want from someone like Moody, and Steve Kerr also did mention that in a recent interview, that Moody is going to be given that bigger role, and they are expecting a lot more for this next upcoming season. The fifth is that Steve Kerr and the Golden State Warriors are going to be running a whole new playbook for this next upcoming season. Now, what I mean by that, I'm not saying they're chucking all the great plays out the window, but it does seem that Steve Kerr has mentioned in a recent interview that there's going to be a lot of different changes to their offense and defense when it comes to this next upcoming season. And one big factor why I reckon that is due to the fact of the great addition of Chris Paul. As you all know, the Warriors have also mentioned this time and time again when it comes to Steph Curry and Draymond Green, but they tend to run a very free flow type offense, very fast paced, and that is what they've always been used to. But it does seem that over the last season that they are looking to make big improvements, and getting someone like Chris Paul who adds that structure, who adds a bit of that high IQ that he's able to do, can definitely help this team even go further. Yes, it's great to play fast free flow type basketball, but sometimes you need that certain time where you need to play very structured, and this is where Chris Paul definitely comes in handy. And that's why I do believe that Chris Paul and the Golden State Warriors can definitely be a different mix of what they're used to when it comes to this Warriors franchise. Now, if you look at last season, they did a pretty good job last season, making it to, second round in the playoffs where they did face off against the Los Angeles Lakers. But when they faced off against the Lakers, they did show a lot of signs of little gaps when it came to their offense and also defense. Now, if we look at their season last season, they actually ranked 28th in 2-point attempts per allowed. They also ranked 14th in also offensive rebounds. They also ranked 30th in free throw attempts. And on top of that, guys, they only ranked 15th in defensive rating. So to put that in perspective, guys, if we look at their season before that, where they did win the NBA championship, they were actually in the top 5 in defensive rating. So there are little things that they did fall off on when it came to the most recent season, but I think they are looking to make those changes now coming into this next season coming up. And I think they are going to be very capable of doing that with the great guidance of Steve Kerr, but also with the new additions that they've made to the team. Whether it's Chris Paul, Dario Saric, or even the stepping up of some players such as Jonathan Kuminga or Moses Moody, I think it is going to be a recipe for success, and they definitely have a team this year that can win an NBA championship.